Hello, and welcome to the Radical Fabulatorium. Okay, on today's episode, I am chatting with Andrew Moore. Andrew is a singer, songwriter, guitarist based in Moncton, New Brunswick. He spent time living in LA, as well as gigging and living in China. So we obviously touch on those topics, along with a bunch of other interesting things. Hello, and welcome to the Radical Fabulatorium. Okay, on today's episode, I am chatting with Andrew Moore. Andrew is based in Moncton, New Brunswick, and he's a guitarist, singer, and songwriter. If you want to check out any of his tunes or see where he's touring, where he's gigging in the upcoming future, head over to his website, andrewrdmoore.com. All right, here we go. Enjoy.
Honestly, I don't mind too much not having a ton of gigs in January and February because, I don't lug all this gear out in snow, and then every time you book a gig you're like, well, I'm playing with fire now, could be a snowstorm.
Absolutely. Yeah, we took my old band toured once, we drove out to BC and back. It was February. it was a pretty fun experiment, but we ran into some weather situations in the Rockies and stuff, but
dude, that's wild. I thought about that because I've done, I've applied to some festivals out west, and I thought, if I get some of these festivals, how are we gonna pull this off? Obviously, the travel grants and stuff will have to come into play. But and I just thought, man, could I even ask my band now? Because we're all, we're not 22, so one got a kid, the other ones, everybody's a little bit more of a homebody now. Yeah, we were in our mid-20s at the time, so it was the reason we did it actually is because we didn't think anyone else would be on the road around then, and we were a nobody band, so thought, well, maybe this will be a good experiment, just see, because no one else will be gigging. So, you know what? I see that line of thinking. I do see that line of thinking. That kind of makes sense to me. You got nobody on the road except a bunch of snow and ice. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
there's nobody to run into.
It was pretty crazy in the Rockies, though, to be honest. We hit a storm. They closed the road down, so we had to cancel a gig, but it was crazy. Going up, I can't remember the name of the big mountain there, but we were trying to cross the mountain, and they were like, no, you got to turn around. you got to go you got to get out of here.
That's wild. So that's the mountain going into BC.
Yeah, we were trying to leave BC to get to Calgary. So it's whatever. We ended up in Hope, BC. We had to crash just in a parking lot in Hope, BC. So whatever that mountain is right there, it's a big one. Yeah.
So I did a road trip by myself when I was 18, and it was in December because, that's what you do when you're young. You make bad decisions. And I know the spot you're talking about because I went all the way to BC and then came back and had to go through that same area. And in the winter, it's what am I doing? I
don't know. It's a good experience as long as it's not dangerous. I mean, it's kind of dangerous. I don't know. It's a good experience. As long as you survive, it's a good experience.
Yeah. As long as you got a decent driver who's not being an idiot. And, yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. So you did some shows out west. How, did you had a few shows? How did those go?
So let me, if I can remember correctly here, I think we were on a 5-week tour. So we had a lot of shows, and, we drove out to BC to Victoria Island or Vancouver Island, then back down through southern Ontario, and then eventually back to Halifax, and then How
would you rate Vancouver Island and Victoria? I didn't take the ferry out there.
Oh, it's beautiful. The ferry ride is wicked. It's such a nice. So I guess I'm remembering the time we went in the summer too, but let me think about the winter. It was cold, but we didn't have any problems. And our shows in Victoria and Nanaimo were always good. We played, I think, both those places twice. And we had friends out there. So we had a band called Ninja Spy who were kind of popular out there at the time. It was pretty good. But the summer, the ferry ride we took in maybe it was August or something. It was beautiful.
Oh man, that's one of my regrets. Although, it was rainy that day and it wasn't nice, so it wouldn't have been awesome to take the ferry. But I'm still I still regret that when I went out there, I didn't go over to Vancouver Island because it sounds. Every time I talk to somebody about it, they're just yeah, it's the best.
It's chill. Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. I mean, I know it's a few people. I actually have one person who lives out there, and it's kind of like anywhere, but you live somewhere and you're because you feel trapped on the island. It's kind of expensive to take the ferry. Blah blah blah.
But it's
nice. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll just dive right in if you're cool. I might even keep some of the banter. I'm recording anyway, so if that's cool, I can keep in some of the banter. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks a lot for coming on the Rad Fab, Andrew. Appreciate you giving me some of your time today.
Man, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate your flexibility too. I know we've been planning this for 3 or 4 months, and just the way it goes.
Oh man, we're both experts now at phone tag and all that good stuff.
Email and Google Meet tag, and it was over Christmas holidays too. So who really gets anything done in December and January?
Yeah. The only thing that we all get done together over Christmas holidays is we all get fatter together.
Yeah, I wonder if I probably put on 11 pounds. My parents-in-law, is that how you would say that? They're like,
yeah, I think so.
Baking masters. So it's it's good and bad. You go down and you're like, oh my God, so many cookies.
Oh no. Baking math. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wait, you mean both of them?
No,
man.
No, not the dad. No, not my stepdad, father-in-law.
Father-in-law. Yeah. There we go.
That'd be weird if your father-in-law was also your stepdad.
Whoa, that's like a song "I'm My Own Grandpa."
Yeah, that's a deep cut. The Stupids.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. So my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, I guess. Yeah, they're incredible bakers. Okay. So
they just get together and just whip up this magic, eh?
Just piles of it. Yeah, ridiculous.
What's the most dangerous thing they make? Is it the cookies or is it the brownies or?
I'm a fiend for sugar cookies, and they make multiple ones. Some have almond extract in them, some have icing, and it's just and then they make peanut butter balls and fudge. Yeah, it's too much.
Man, that's dangerous. You know what gets me? And this is I know some people aren't into this and other people love it. What gets me is just eggnog.
Oh, yeah. Store-bought or homemade?
Oh, store-bought for sure.
Store-bought,
yeah. I'm not quite on that train of many things myself, unfortunately. But I feel like when I get older, I'll get into that. I also feel like at some point in time, when I'm much older, I'm going to turn into a gardening guy. I'm for sure going to be a bird guy. I'm already a bird guy, so I know that train. That's already that's part of my future. It's locked in. But I feel like the gardening thing might show up too.
Gardening. That'd be a nice 10 practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
it feels a good.
Are you talking about aesthetic gardening, like flowers, or food production gardening?
Food production.
Okay.
Yeah. Although flowers would probably make their way in too as well. But, you get beauty out of it. But with the the food production, you actually, get some stuff out of it,
Uh-huh.
I always liked that game. Harvest Moon.
Oh yeah,
you ever play that game?
That's one of my wife's favorites.
Oh, does she still play?
Oh yeah, that and Animal Crossing.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yes. Okay. Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I didn't realize they still had Harvest Moon going.
Well, I kind of know a little bit about it, but the original team, so they make Harvest Moon. But then they also, I can't remember the name of it, but the original team spliced off, and it's still basically Harvest Moon, but it has a new name because they didn't own the rights. They weren't able to keep the rights to the name of Harvest Moon. I can't remember the name now, but anyway, there's another series running that is Harvest Moon, kind of in disguise.
Okay, so they had to. Oh, interesting. Right.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up. This is the time for me to play video games too. Every once in a while, in the winter, I just hunker down and go at a video game a little bit. This would be the time to do it.
Definitely, yeah. So the short days and the cold weather.
Mm-hmm. Hibernation, man.
All right, maybe let's give my listeners a little bit of your backstory, because I know it's kind of interesting. We can jump around or we can go linearly, but I know you spent time in LA, you spent time in Asia. Maybe we can start in LA. You want to start there?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah. So I applied to some schools because I wanted to go to music school. Basically, I started as a piano player playing classical piano through middle school. So basically since I was 8. And then middle school and high school, And then I got into guitar in high school, and I kind of got to a crossroads where I thought, I have to pick one of these, and I guess I didn't really have to, but I wanted to get really proficient in one and not just, splice my time between two too much. So I decided, because I felt pretty proficient in piano at the time, that, I should go to school for guitar and bring that level up. So yeah, I applied with school, a few across America. And then, I got accepted to one in LA, and I thought, you know what, that would be a very interesting experience. One of the things that was just so interesting for me back in the day, being Canadian, is I thought to myself, man, it's going to be a real trip to be walking around in January and there's no snow. Like, what is that like to not have seasons? It's just all sunshine all the time. That's crazy. And the school was it had a really good reputation, and LA is the entertainment capital of the world too. So I thought all of those things kind of lined up well. So I was 21, and I took a flight and went down and did school there. Yeah, it was a great experience.
So when you were moving from piano to guitar, did you feel like any pressure to study classical guitar, or did you just immediately go into like rock and roll electric guitar?
I immediately went into like blues stuff, basically. No, I honestly didn't really feel it's funny, eh? Music's a funny thing. I love classical music. I listen to it every morning, and I have since at least high school, if not maybe middle school, but for sure high school. Julie Nesvarela is on every day for me. I just listened to her an hour ago. The classical music is like big for me, but classical guitar never really struck a chord, at least at that level. I'm more into it now for sure, than I was before. I actually just discovered this guy, Antoine Boyer, who is an incredible guitarist. And I've been listening to his stuff lately, but for some reason earlier on, it didn't really capture me. So I kind of went in more so to like Led Zeppelin-esque type of stuff, right away. So it didn't really strike me at that time.
Okay, cool. That probably seems like a cliche to stay in the classical world once you begin in it, but I just thought that was interesting. I actually have the algorithm. I listen to classical music too, usually every morning, and the YouTube algorithm has started like shoving or suggesting lute performances.
Oh, okay.
Like these insane, giant, crazy, at least they're insane to me, these giant lutes that are like 12 strings, and the neck's like the headstock's bent all strange, and like the neck looks like it's like, I don't even know, like 5 feet long. It's pretty ridiculous, but they just slay entire pieces like Bach and Beethoven, whatever you can imagine. They're just like laying it down. And they're always like in some big, beautiful church or something, so the reverb and the quality is just like,
oh man,
bang on.
Yeah, there's some wild instruments out there. I don't know if you've seen this one before. I saw a guy opening basically like a treasure chest, and it had this glass instrument inside that basically looked like a bunch of glass bowls that were just stacked on top of each other and put sideways. Mm-hmm. And the guy, he had to use distilled water to clean it before he touched it. And he rubbed his hands down like they had chemicals on them, an insane level. And then he went in and just put his fingers down like a piano on them. And they made this glassy reverberation sound. I'd never seen this instrument before.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy.
There's stuff out there. And I saw there were some crazy instruments in China too, honestly, that I'd never seen before. And I wish I could remember the names of any of them. But for some reason, I can see them in my mind. I just can't remember what they're called.
Can't remember? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So you end up in LA studying guitar, right? Or were you there for guitar and audio engineering, or was that all kind of like part of the package?
Yeah. So I started with guitar. And then, it was kind of a funny thing how it happened. Every school, obviously you have electives that you can take, right? Different stuff. And when I was there, I took some private lessons with, vocals, and I did a little bit with drums too, just to be, interested in other, instruments. Mm-hmm. And, at one point in time, I saw a recording, class available, and I had been doing my own recording since like high school, basically. I remember in high school using Cubase, and that was the first thing that I did. So I had some interest in recording. So I thought, oh yeah, you know what? I should take this class and get a little, get some actual understanding of what things are called and how to manipulate sound and such. And I took to it instantly. It was crazy how fast I liked it. I had to step back for a second and be like, do I like this more than all the other stuff?
Yeah.
But and then I came to my senses and was like, no, man, hold on. This is the honeymoon phase. This is what the honeymoon phase looks like. Just relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ended up taking that elective, and that just kind of like sparked a whole different path for me. So when I was done school as a guitar player, I decided to go to Musicians Institute and do their audio engineering program. And that was awesome.
Cool. That was in LA as well?
Yeah. So I went to school at the Los Angeles College of Music.
Mm-hmm.
It was an academy at the time that I went, but it's an official college now. And from there, and that's up in Pasadena. And then Musicians Institute is in Hollywood.
Okay. Cool. And so I imagine they taught you Pro Tools.
Yeah, you know what? When I got there, they started with Pro Tools, and then there was a Logic elective class that I could take too. And I knew Logic more than Pro Tools.
Okay.
It just seems to be the go-to, right, for home studio stuff. And it still was at that time, at least for me. But I took the elective too. I wanted to be like as proficient in both as possible. So, I did that and took my Logic course as well. Now I pretty much exclusively use Logic. But that was kind of accidental. It's because this is something we can get to in a little bit, but basically when COVID happened, I got locked out of China and I had to come back to Canada, and my Pro Tools key was in China. So because Pro Tools forces you to use like one of those keys, I didn't have all my stuff. So I was like, well, I guess I'm using Logic now. And now I'm just like full on Logic because it's been 6 years,
Yeah. Now you're used to it. And Logic sounds pretty good. And back in the day too, like Pro Tools was not easy to use in a home studio. Like you had to use like an LE version, and you had to use their hardware. And I'm going back probably like 15 years or something, but they didn't make it ezy for at home folk, or it was expensive to get started.
That's my time, man. Pro Tools 9. That was not quite 15 years. That would have been about 12 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
Pro Tools is industry standard, and it's great. It has its strengths for sure, and then Logic has its own strengths as well, right? I recall one thing in particular. My teacher, who was the Logic teacher, he wanted to basically highlight one of Logic's strengths, which was the quality of their samples and loop packages.
Okay.
And he one of the classes we had, he had the computer up on the big screen, and he brought in one loop from the free loop section, and then he brought in a second loop, and he put them on top of each other, and then he hit the play button for a couple seconds, and then he paused it, and he said, "Does anyone know what song that is?" And one person in the class knew, and he said, "That's an Usher song." And he was right. His point was Usher's team, or Usher himself, took 2 sample loops from the Logic library, put them on top of each other. They sounded great, and he sang over it, and that was the song.
Yeah.
It was wild. That's the moment for me where I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty cool. That's neat. And because, Pro Tools was never, and from my memory, Pro Tools wasn't great at looping things anyway. So, like, it was, and something about the way it sounded. Like, I had a Digi 003 back in the day.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah.
It did the job, but there's something about the preamps or whatever. There's some sound that it had that was just kind of like over top of everything. I don't know how to explain it really, but.
I think Pro Tools is just very good and versatile for real instrument recording.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it great for the studios.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, and honestly, like, I'm still going to have to use Pro Tools because I got all my. This is going to make no sense to anybody that's listening that doesn't know anything, but I got all my things back from China, and some of the stuff was hard drives that had a lot, literally a decade worth of music on them. Mm-hmm. And, because of what I'm doing musically now, I've been focusing on other things, but that stuff's still there. And a lot of those projects are in Pro Tools, and I have the Pro Tools key now. So one of these days, mm-hmm. I'm going to fire that baby up, and I'm going to look at Pro Tools again. I haven't touched Pro Tools in 6 years. I'm going to look at it and be like, oh man,
that's funny.
How do I navigate this again? Yeah. Bring up the old school books.
Not to make this all about Pro Tools, but I took a break from music and came back, and I was same thing as I had all these old Pro Tools sessions. Pro Tools 8 is what I was using, and I literally had to go on eBay and build and buy parts, like Firewire cards and stuff that was would have been top of the line in 2013 or 2014. Just I kind of built an old school computer just so I could open up the sessions without any shenanigans,
Wow, that's you know what. Now that you say that, I'm probably going to have to do that.
It wasn't very expensive. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, maybe if I can't find something, I know who to go to now.
yeah. I'll ship you my Fire. I don't use the Firewire card anymore since I got the sessions carried over. So I'll just say if you need a Firewire card, I'll just send it to you.
That's such a funny thing that you say that. I was using G drives, and I got a G drive back from China, and it had this port on the back, and I looked at it, and for a couple of seconds I looked and went, I don't know what this is. My mind had completely erased Firewire.
Yeah.
I completely forgot it existed for a second. I had to look and be like, oh man, now how do I dangle this one? I got to get a port to another port to something, because now everything's USB-C.
Yeah. Firewire was a pain because it didn't power the units either. So anything with Firewire also had to have external power sources. Yeah.
I actually got right before COVID happened. It would have been late 2019. I bought an 8 terabyte Lacy drive.
Okay.
And it had USB-C. And at the time, my laptop didn't have USB-C. And in China, when I was buying stuff, because everything's in Mandarin, there would be times that I would make mistakes on, I think I've got the right item, let me order it. And something would be slightly off, And this was one of those cases where I was like, oh man, I bought the wrong one. It doesn't have Firewire. It only has USB-C. But I thought to myself, you know what? This is the direction we're going in. USB-C is the faster one. I'll put this drive to the side. I don't necessarily quote unquote need it right now, but as soon as, I get a little bit of an upgrade, then this Lacy drive will work fine. I didn't have the Lacy drive for 5 years, and I get it back now, and it's got USB-C and everything works.
Perfect. It's you just predicted the future you just helped you out,
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to fandangle anything for that one.
All right, that's cool. All right, let's go back to, so we mentioned kind of Led Zeppelin got you into blues and rock. Is there any, for some reason I get Jeff Buckley vibes. Are you into Jeff Buckley? You listen to him at all?
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah. Jeff Buckley, just a little side note, but his version of Hallelujah is one of the songs that I based my mix off of for my record Soul Echo.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
cool.
that record that I have is a little bit, it's different than all the rest of the records that I have. It was just kind of a side thing where I just wanted to pump out some Melancholy Sunday type of songs. And I used, it's funny, I used Adele was for one, just to get I don't know, a placement on vocals versus instrumentation in the mix. And then I also used Jeff Buckley's for an overall sound, because the sound of that record is awesome, and that was kind of what I was going for. I did listen to it some. Honestly, it's kind of, my music journey is kind of interesting in the sense that when I went to school for guitar, I was surrounded by guitar players who knew a lot of guitar players, and those were their idols. And I felt for myself that I was more of a musician that was just expressing through the guitar. I learned about a bunch of guitar players I'd never heard of, and all of ththese guys that I went to school with idolized these people. Mm-hmm. Before I went to school, I had no idea who Pat Metheny was. And that was I didn't know who George Benson was. And any of these guys, even Joe Satriani, I did know who that was. I don't, Steve Vai, like, and these are like big names, but I wasn't into that guitar corner. I was into like, just more so bands and music that I liked. So I kind of came from a different angle of expressing myself through guitar, but not necessarily knowing the guitar music.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I get that. I mean, a lot of it's because those Steve Vai, Satriani, Pat Metheny, is that right? Say that right? Metheny.
Yeah.
And like Alan Holdsworth. Mm-hmm. They're like guitar players. But there's a difference in those worlds, though, right? The guitar player world, and the songwriter, like a John Mayer type, who's super skilled at guitar but can write really great songs as well.
Oh yeah. It's a different world for sure. And when you play guitar, you kind of sit in this Venn diagram where you're kind of between the two. At least I felt like that myself, right? And it was really good for just the expansion of, my musical taste, and how I express myself now as a musician is totally different. I listen to a lot of that guitar music now for sure. I don't think that's my style in terms of like how I express myself, but your expression is only going to get better and more colorful the more stuff that you listen to. I listen to a lot of different styles of music that I don't play and that I would never, probably play, but it really does change your perspective and helps just, I guess, expand yourself. Like, watching Steve Vai, I don't know if you saw him on his tour when he came through, but I saw him a couple of years ago in St. John when he came through with the double neck guitar or the triple neck thing. Yeah. And watching that was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What is this? Where he's just playing on his own and it's 3 separate necks that he just keeps going between. And if you close your eyes, you can't tell that he's playing 3 different necks and skipping between them.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild stuff. And I saw like, I went with my drummer and a bunch of his friends, Jeremy. We went to Montreal last March and saw Dream Theater. And I knew a couple of their songs, honestly, but that's not really my style for listening. But I know each one of the members in that band are absolute legends in their field, right? Mm-hmm. And I just thought, like, I got to see these guys do their thing. Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci, I heard about him at school when I first went to school. That was he has one of the coolest names of all time, but on top of that, he's like one of the best guitarists that's living. And Jordan on keys, and just being in that crowd of people that absolutely love and eat this music up all day, and then to be exposed and just watch him. Like, John Petrucci is one of the biggest influences for me now in terms of, at least in terms of like work ethic and like getting yourself better. Cause that man can play basically like nobody else.
Yeah. That whole band doesn't make any sense. And they don't always pull it off, but they try to write like emotionally relevant songs. Like, they don't just try to shred your faces off. They do try to put some like vibe behind it. And which I appreciate in that when you're kind of in that world of a band full of virtuosos.
Well, and the dedication of the fans too. That's something that is like infectious. Like, you can feel that energy. There's definitely artists out there that I don't necessarily listen to, but if I got a chance to see them live, I would, to be there in the energy that they create with their own fans. And this is an interesting thing, but when we went up to see Dream Theater, we listened to Dream Theater the entire way up.
Yeah.
Like,
preparing for it. Yeah.
That's a 10-hour drive.
Yeah.
They had a 10-hour playlist of Dream Theater, and it played the entire time. Yeah. And these guys they know every song. Yeah. They know what set lists are. Like, I've never seen this level of, like, these guys are deep. And it was awesome. Like, because, and you know what's funny? On the way back, we split it between Dream Theater and Iron Maiden and a few other bands, right?
Yeah.
But I found myself, when I got home for the next few days, I took walks and I listened to Dream Theater. And I was like, what am I, I'm still listening to these guys. It's been 5 days now.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It's fun. The band I mentioned earlier when we first started chatting that I was in one of our pre-show rituals, like when we were driving for a gig, was to listen to a Dream Theater record.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, when they get you, they get you. You know, and now all of a sudden you're in and out. Yeah, it's almost like insatiable.
It is, yeah. Do you know their album Octavarium by any chance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the story behind that? Like how the record's organized?
No, I don't think so.
So if you look on the back of the CD, each track title's like lined up with a piano key or like a key on a piano, and that's like the key the song is in. And then like so each song moves through the octave of a piano and is written on the key, and then like those little in between interlude kind of sounds is like the key, the like, I don't know if it's the relative major or minor, but anyway, it's all related in an octave. It all follows like the 12 steps or whatever. Yeah. And then comes back around to that last song. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That's so cool. I feel like that's a Jordan thing. I feel like he would do that.
Yeah, probably.
Because when he was there, one of the cool things about the concert too was he had an LCD screen on the front of his piano or his keyboard. So the notes that he was playing, they were lighting up on the LCD screen. So he had like literally like a keyboard showing on the front of his keyboard. And when he was playing, all the notes would light up in front. So you're looking at it being like, that's the stuff that he's actually playing right now. Oh, that's so cool. That's
an interesting thing because keyboardists always, their hand, you can watch a guitar player shred, but the keyboard's always blocking the keyboardist's hands. Yeah, okay. And also all the music theory nerds just losing it, probably watching the tabs happen in real life, basically, or in real time.
You know what? That's probably what they were thinking. Is like you can always see the guitar player shred, but you can't see the piano player, the keyboard player. So
that's hilarious. Okay, Dream Theater, man.
And that was a side thing, but basically, in LA, I just never saw myself necessarily as a guitar player in that way, but I got thrown into it and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier too about kind of like seeking other influences or just being influenced by other types and all genres of music. Is that like, do you hunt that down purposefully, or do you just kind of like let different musics like come into your life somehow, or do you have a philosophy about that?
That's a great question. Before I went to school, I would say that I didn't hunt it down. Since going to school, so I guess I can, because that was 15 years ago, so I guess I can say, yes, I certainly hunt things down. So I'll just give you an example. This is funny, but I got into Radiohead in probably like 2011, I want to say, somewhere in that. I wasn't into Radiohead before then. I just didn't see, I wasn't able to, I feel like the way to phrase it is like, you're not hearing what they're trying to express across. You hear it, but whatever you're hearing isn't lining up. And I knew that a lot of people go crazy for Radiohead. Mm-hmm. So my thought process has always been, what am I missing? So a lot of people are into Radiohead. They got a huge fan base. I must be missing something. So I remember living in LA and I put on the album OK Computer and I listened to it 5 times all the way through, not doing anything. I wasn't doing other things. I was focusing and being like, I am going to listen to this until I hear something that I'm like, oh, that's cool. I get that now. And it took the 5th listen all the way through. And then I heard something and I feel like how I was listening to it changed. I feel like my perspective on how I was hearing it changed because of some little guitar thing that happened. And I went, oh, that's cool. I didn't hear that the first few listens. And then after that, I feel like every time I approached and heard Radiohead, I was listening to it with a different perspective. And now obviously I love Radiohead. It's like some of the music that I make is like hugely inspired by Radiohead. So yeah, I try to seek things out. Like if a lot of people are into something, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also interesting that, like, I don't know if most people, not to generalize, I guess, but I don't know if most people would give records multiple chances when their first listen isn't satisfying.
I just heard an interview with John Mayer the other day where he was talking about this, where the first time that he played Continuum for the album, or for the label, sorry, they didn't like it. They didn't think there were any singles on it. They didn't think anything of it. And he, that obviously was like a big thing for him to be like, what, how do you know, this is my music. And what he said from that, he's like, he learned that never just listen to a song one time. If you listen to it once, you're not hearing it yet. And he said, now, anytime that somebody shows me a song, I listen to it twice, put it on a second time. Now let's hear it for a second time. And now the first time was a primer. It was to prime you for what it actually is. Now let's hear it, and now we'll hear it for real for the second time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way. I agree with that approach. And I also think sometimes, like, there's exceptions to this, because sometimes you just hear something, you hear a piece of music that just totally connects with you 100%. But I feel like a lot of the times, if you like something on the first listen, it's because it's familiar, so you've already kind of heard it before, and maybe it's not going to stick around in your life that long. That's one approach to take anyway.
Yeah. I think there's definitely some validity to that for sure. The familiarity, it's definitely a thing that makes you like something faster. But yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that too. If you almost like something too fast, it's probably going to fade faster. Not for sure, but there's a general rule of thumb for sure. So yeah, I've really tried to expand my music taste as far as I can. If I don't like something, but there's a ton of people listening to it, I always give it at least a second or a third listen to try and find something. There's something in everything. There's something in every genre for every person.
Mm-hmm. That makes me think too, like I always like steer clear of electronic or dance or pop or whatever label you want to put on it. And then like just a couple of years ago, the artist Lights, she like made me cross over into appreciating EDM and pop, that kind of music. And it's been like this whole world just like exploded. And so I go from like listening to Dillinger Escape Plan or Cannibal Corpse to like churches or Meg Myers or Lights. And it's like this hilarious. Anyway, I would kind of really appreciate that I've been able to discover that kind of music that I just normally would never have ever checked out.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's a crazy jump right there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Keep your mind open. You never know what you'll find out there, really. So.
Yeah, honestly, it's true.
So we kind of hinted at China or Asia a bit. Maybe we should. Everyone's probably like, "What? No one who lives in China? Like, who goes over to China?" Maybe we should touch on that a bit because it's probably an interesting story,
Yeah, it is kind of how it happened. So yeah, after I left LA, I came back to Canada. I had a couple goals in mind when I came to Canada. Like when I left LA, I had, new guitar knowledge, new music knowledge, and I had completed, an audio engineering course as well. And I thought to myself, I want to make an album from scratch. I want to do the whole thing. It's just going to be an adventure, right? So when I came back to Canada, this was 2014, I wanted to make a record and put it out, and I wanted to pack and sell out my hometown venue. Those were the two goals that I had, and tour around as well and everything. And I got a friend of mine that I had played in some bands in LA reached out to me because he had moved to China. There was another guy that we went to school with, and he's from Hong Kong, and he had been living in Beijing, working with this music producer. So my other friend who was over there, he kind of messaged me and was like, dude, you should come over here. There's some, we have some good opportunities happening here. And I told him, I said, let's check back in 6 months. Cause I had these other goals that I wanted to accomplish first. So after I had done that, I went back to him and I asked him like what the situation was. And he said, I can't guarantee you a job, but if you come over, you'll be hanging in the right group of people, was basically what he said. So I took a leap of faith and I moved to China with no job, and I just went. And I think about it now and I think, are you out of your mind?
Well, people say what you just said about moving to Toronto. I don't have a job. I'm moving to Toronto. I'm going to take a huge risk and move 20 hours away. But you're talking about going to China. So that's like extra, I'm going to say ridiculous, even though like it is ridiculous. Like it sounds like a ridiculous thing to do.
Oh yeah. I mean, I woke up the next day. I remember the first day I woke up super early in the morning because, jet lag and all that stuff. I think I woke up at 7 a.m. or something. And I just remember like getting up out of bed and like looking out the window and thinking, did I just do that? Like what? Yeah, I had no job. All I had was one of my friends saying, I can't guarantee you anything, but you'll be in a circle of people and, you should get your shot. And I did. Eventually I did. It took a little bit of time. It took some grinding. I had to grind away at as much as I could to keep myself afloat. And eventually, I got invited to meet the music producer. And that went well. And then I got in with the music producer and the band leader and started playing shows with them.
Cool. Well, I'm sure some people's first thought will be like, well, what about the language barrier? So if you're looking for a job or a side hustle even, so how did that come into play? I would imagine that would be the scariest thing, thinking you're not able to communicate with other people. Oh yeah. Well,
for sure, that was like definitely an issue. But that was one of the expected things, one of the good things about that was that they have an app, WeChat, and basically everything's funneled through that app, and that had like built-in translation stuff. So anytime that there was a problem, or there was not necessarily a problem, but something that had to be communicated, there were times that I was standing with somebody like a Chinese person, and we would stand with our phones. And I would text him his WeChat, and we were literally standing across from each other, and he would get my text and then have it translated, and then he would text me back and I would translate it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty fast, and it worked well. I think you find out pretty quickly when you're thrown into a situation like that there are a lot of like main core things to just learn how to say, and a lot of other stuff doesn't really matter. You really like it boils down to a few things that you need to be able to understand what a person's saying, or you just need to be able to express. And then beyond that, like a lot of the other stuff doesn't matter too much. So it took a little bit, but by the end, my Mandarin was getting, it was not like conversational, but it was almost fully functional in terms of just getting whatever things need to get done. I'm not going to be able to sit down and have like a full philosophical conversation with a Chinese guy or Chinese woman, but it was functional.
Okay. And while you were waiting to meet the music producer and kind of waiting for things to come together, were you working like quote unquote regular jobs, or were you gigging as a musician? How did you stay afloat?
It was a lot of gigging, just small stuff. Yeah. Because once you're over there, like that's one of the things that anybody that's gone to a country that their main language is not English, you'll find out that you find the English speakers pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that too when I was in school in LA. The people that were coming across from countries that didn't speak English, if their English wasn't as good, they found their people too, right? You find your circle. So that same thing happened in China. I met and found the other English speaking people that were working either hotel gigs or other bar gigs as musicians, and that's where you start.
Okay. And you were there for how long?
3.5 years.
Okay. So just for my own curiosity, does that mean you have to get like Chinese driver's license, bank account? Like, I don't know what their Medicare situation is. Like all those official government documents have to be like acquired or hunted down.
One of the great things about China is their transportation, man. It's unparalleled in a lot of those Asian countries, and China's no exception for sure. The subway system over there was just awesome. Like I never needed a car for anything. Sometimes we'd have to take taxis if we had a little bit of gear, or you're going to the airport, obviously you got to get a taxi and pick that up. But even that, like everything was in that one WeChat app. Like it was very easy to order a taxi. they were ahead in that kind of stuff for sure. And yeah, the subway was really good, and they had these bike companies. We have them now, maybe not in Moncton, but I know that they're in North America now. But over there, the bikes were just everywhere. You would just go up and scan a QR code, and the bike unlocks, and it costs you like 25 cents to start, and then you take a bike ride and it's $1.50 or whatever. So as long as I wasn't carrying too much gear, I didn't need to get a car. In terms of a bank account, that was pretty easy. You just walk in. A lot of the bigger banks will have a person in there that speaks English. They'll have like a one designated English speaker. So you just go in and they'll have a person there that can help you out with that. So no, I didn't have to get a driver's license or anything like that. In terms of the Medicare, they have some affordable medical help. Fortunately for me, I never had to use it. Mm-hmm. But I know that it does exist, that it's not backbreaking to get some medical attention.
Okay. Doesn't break. You don't end up a couple hundred G's in debt. Something goes wrong.
Oh, no, certainly not.
Okay, cool. Thanks for answering that. It's just kind of interesting to me. I moved to Montreal, and that was just a small taste of like having to get a different driver's license, and they use their own Medicare. Like they have their own different setups just because it's Quebec, but that's like nothing compared to going to China. So I just was curious.
Yeah, they do. Quebec, yeah. Okay.
Neat. Okay, so when you started gigging, or when you kind of got into the inner circle, were you doing studio work, or are you doing live performances? How did that all come to be?
A lot of it was live. Okay. There wasn't a lot of studio work. There was more so the deeper I got into it, for sure. But a lot of it was live. So we did a couple singing shows as well. So you would have that, and then whoever won the show basically would be contracted with the band leader or the music producer, sorry. And then, they would do a tour or something, and we would tour with them. So yeah, a lot of it was live playing, which was, that was a huge learning lesson for me, and something that that's one of the biggest things, work wise that I got, from being in China was playing, some shows that I had never played before, and having to really hone in and focus. And, cause sometimes when you get on stage, as all musicians know out there, depending on the situation, sometimes your brain just shuts off, and then you gotta, then you really know whether or not you know what you're doing when you're up there. It's easy to practice when nobody's watching. Be like, yeah, I got that, no problem. As soon as you get on stage, then you figure out real quick, do I actually know this part, or?
Yeah. Have I been masking my mistakes during rehearsals and not realizing it?
Yeah, exactly. And that can get, masking, having a band behind you and having to mask things sometimes can definitely, that's something you gotta work at.
So China's obviously a big country. Like touring it, what does that look like? Is there long stretches between towns or cities, or is it all pretty condensed, pretty tight? They
are tightly, they're really condensed in the cities, but there is a pretty big distance between. So we flew basically every gig was flying something. Yeah. The way it looked is, I'd get the information about when we're leaving and when the flight is. And I was roommates with one of the guys that was in the group. So we did a lot of gigs together, which was nice because we would just travel together from our apartment. Yeah, and you get there, and then you like every other musician, you hope the airline treats your instruments with care.
Yeah.
and then do the show and then head back. And they were pretty well put together in that way, for sure.
Okay, cool. Do you know if they, the people writing the music, do you know if they have a similar setup that SOCAN has here, with royalty payments and publishing deals, or did you experience any of that?
That's a good question. I honestly have no idea. I did not get into that side at all. In terms of, when I was leaving China, I was starting to write for some people, but obviously COVID happened and everything went down the tube. So that got stopped. But no, yeah, most of my stuff, I did some studio stuff, but most of it was live performance.
Okay. Yeah. So COVID, did you have to come home because they were basically saying, "Hey, Canadians, you should come home because we're shutting her down"?
No, yeah. Actually, my situation was a little. It was like a perfect storm of events that happened for me. So I remember in December, maybe late December, or maybe it was early January. I remember hearing about, some sickness or something. And I remember going out one day. So back then, it's not this way now, but back then there was a pollution problem in Beijing. They had a lot of factories that were just pumping out for different uses of energy. And so I would wake up every day and open the curtains and basically take a look out and be like, am I wearing a mask today or am I not? And I had a nice mask that was made for that kind of stuff. So there was no worries there. But I remember one day it was nice and clear out and I thought, oh, this is nice. I don't have to wear a mask today. And I went out and there was a bunch of people wearing masks. And, if you grow up in that, you're going to be a little less careful about when you're wearing a mask. So a lot of Chinese people didn't wear masks unless it was like really bad. So this struck me strange. I looked and I was like, why is everybody wearing masks? It's nice today. So I asked a colleague and they said, yeah, there's some virus going around Beijing. And I thought, oh, like all over the city. So I remember looking it up on my phone using a VPN, right, to get to Google to look it up. And I looked it up and nothing came up. There was like no stories about it anywhere. And I thought to myself, this must not be a big deal then. There's no stories on this. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just take a moment and laugh at that.
No big deal.
Apparently I was just a little early on it, looking it up. So I remember going home and my brother and I had a trip planned. So I had to do a visa run, which, was a common thing, right? You have to renew your visa, but if you renew it, you have to renew it outside the country. So I had to leave China and go to one of their embassies in another country and renew my visa. So every time that I had to do this, I would like plan some sort of little trip, right? And this next one was a little bit of a bigger trip that I planned with my brother. We had this planned for like a year. We were going to go scuba diving and hang out in Thailand for I think it was 10 days. So my brother lands in like January, I want to say like late January somewhere. And I remember it was starting to really catch in China and people were talking about it. And I remember thinking, you know what, there's a lot on the plate right now. I got a lot of work going on. I got a lot of things lined up and, this 10-day trip is happening. And I remember thinking, you know what, I will deal with this when we get back. It's only 10 days. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. I left my apartment that day with one bag because I was going to one bag with summer clothes for Thailand. We got to Thailand. I went to renew my visa and they rejected it. And then I thought to myself, this is strange. I've done this enough times that there's no reason for this to be, there's no reason for this to be done. So I contacted my employer and talked to them about it. And they said, okay, well, just try doing it this way then, like switch it a little bit, like fill it out this way a little bit. So I did it a second time, rejected. And then I tried it one more time and it was rejected. And at that point I went, okay, this has nothing. This is that virus thing. And by that point, everybody else was talking about it more. I don't know if it had quite gone to Italy or the ski resort in Italy or France, wherever it was, one of those first like international cases. I don't think it was quite there yet, but it was starting to ramp up, right? So I realized, okay, they're trying to stop the flow in some way. And obviously at that point in time, I'm thinking, okay, I am in Thailand and all of my things are in China and I cannot get to them. So my brother and I kind of hung out in Thailand for a little bit and kind of had to think about what we were going to do, because it was shortly after that countries started putting the bans on people that had been in China. If you had been in China within the last 14 days, every other country wouldn't accept you into the country. So we got stuck in Thailand because our trip was only 10 days long and there was a 14-day period, right? So we kind of got stuck there. And my brother had a family trip with his wife's family down in America shortly after that. And they were leaving, like he was going to get back into Canada, have 1 day turnover, and then go on this other thing. And we were starting to be like, oh, is he going to be able to make it? And like, is this like how Canada would accept him, obviously, because he's a Canadian citizen, but how does he route himself to Canada? Because no other country would let him even land. And oh yeah, man, trying to call the airlines through the phones, like good luck. There was no chance. So we took trips to the airport. It was a couple of days in a row that we literally just went to the airport and got in line to talk to customer service, because trying to talk to them on the phone just wasn't going to happen. And we eventually got him. He was able to find a route through South Korea. They would let him land, but they wouldn't let him actually transfer into South Korea. He had to stay in international area. So he was able to do that. He got to Canada, and when he was going up to the border, he was 1 day past his 14-day period to get into the States. So he just made it by the skin of his teeth. Myself, I had to stay in Thailand a little longer because I had a little bit of a different situation. I thought to myself, how long is this going to last? Because I had a lot of work on the other side. Like this 10-day period, I had a lot of work waiting for me on the other side of that. And I thought, if I go to Canada and then everything like clears up, I'll spend money to go all the way to Canada to have to come all the way back like right away. And I just thought, is that smart, or should I just hang out here somewhere? I had a few days to think about it because I still had, I think, 3 days left on that 14-day period, somewhere in there. So I just kind of hung out, and I was reading the news a lot and just thinking like, okay, like what's my best choice here? I had a friend in Indonesia at the time too. So I thought maybe I should just go and hang out with him in Indonesia for a little bit. And then, when this thing clears up, I'll be a fast plane ride away and I can just skip back in and then everything back. And it just kind of kept escalating over a few days to the point where I thought to myself, I think I need to go to Canada. Mm-hmm. Because if this doesn't look like it's calming down, it looks like it's ramping up. And the longer I stay over here, the more money I'm spending. So I thought, you know what? I'll go to Canada. And if this thing clears up pretty quick, then okay, fine, whatever. I'll just go back and do my thing. And I'm glad I did that because, yeah, I mean, I came to Canada. Basically, I felt like a prophet. I felt like I was like preaching to everybody like, hey, I came from the land. It is coming. Mm-hmm. It will be here soon. Because I landed, I actually went to, so some friends of mine were hanging out in LA, some guys I went to college with, and we were kind of like just recording some music. So I went to LA first from Thailand, and I hung out there for like a week, and then I came to Canada. So I landed February 20th of 2020. And I remember just telling everybody like, look, these are your last few weeks, because eventually it's coming here. I was just over there and it's crazy. It's coming here. And when it does, we'll have to shut down. And that's what happened a few weeks later.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. It's a big decision to have to make, and you don't know anything. You don't have any information really, like to predict the future, obviously. So
yeah, it was quite crazy. That time for me, just thinking. And then obviously like I get to Canada and I have an apartment there, and my roommate, he had left about a week before I did for Thailand. So he also had all of his stuff there. So we just had an apartment with a bunch of things, nothing moved and just sitting there. And we basically had to like for the next couple of, I think we kept the apartment for, I think it was a couple of months before we were able to get it figured out to get things moved into a public storage room, basically. Yeah. And so we moved everything into public storage and basically was like, like we'll get there when we get there. But at that point in time, like everybody was going in and out of bubbles and like lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was a little tough. He was able to get over before me and look at the public storage and get his stuff out. And then I just went last year and got mine.
Wow. That's pretty wild. So it was over there for 5 years in public storage or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, it was weird, man. It was crazy just like going through all this stuff. So I had it, mine eventually made its way into an office area, and it was sitting there. And when I went over with my brother, we did another trip. We did like a scuba diving thing for a few days, and then we went into China, and we just took basically 3 days and just went through these boxes. And I mean, I threw out most of it, right? But at that point in time, it was hard to have, somebody else go through it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I went through a lot of the stuff. It felt like a weird Christmas day where I was just opening boxes and being like, oh, wow, I forgot about this thing. Oh man, this thing's still here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy
stuff. So yeah, it was a wild time, man. And you know what? It's just one of those things, you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
As Bryan Adams would say, right, in his new music, roll with the punches.
That's cool. I don't know that song, but I'll
yeah, it's a new it's his new stuff. I just saw him for the first time like a couple months ago. So
okay, cool. Yeah, he's written some hits, that's for sure. That's cool.
Oh yeah, and he can still sing. He's still killing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's quite the China experience. That's crazy. So over in the thick of it during the dark years, the COVID years, it's a fascinating story. I don't think I would have handled it as calmly as you sound like you handled it, or as like logically, perhaps.
It teaches you a lot of lessons for sure, in terms of like what matters and what do you stress about, Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm healthy. I'm still healthy. My family is good. It's just things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just things, but like I had five guitars over there, 4.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And, 2 pedal boards, I got those back. So there was a little bit of like, there's a little bit of stress about my guitars are over there. They feel like anybody that plays an instrument knows how that feels.
Yep.
To have your instrument somewhere else, and in somebody else's care. But man, I have some good friends over there. I had another Canadian guitar player who's a good friend of mine, and he came to the rescue. He went to our apartment. I was hoping he was just going to take one guitar for me, and I'd find some other people to maybe possibly take another one. He took all my guitars and took care of them the entire time.
Nice.
Just took them all. And it was like, yeah, I'm forever thankful to my buddy there for doing that, because that was a huge move, and he didn't have to do that at all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to buddies. Shout out to buds. That's fantastic.
Shout out to good buddies, man. Take care of your friends. They take care of you. Take care of your family. They take care of you. Support each other for sure.
Definitely. That's awesome. What a wild story. Well, maybe we should end the chat talking about some of your releases, because I know you got like Live at Xeroz and Bold Lies, which is a cool 3-track EP, and the Dip Session as well. I don't really know which one to focus on. Live at Xeroz, that was recorded at Slanted Glass. Is that right?
Live at Xeroz was recorded at Xeroz, but the Dip Session was recorded at Slanted Glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Out Ross Cole. He's got a great studio there, and he's a great guy. So we had a lot of fun doing that one. The Dip Session was such a fun time. It felt like another like milestone for me. I always like, I think a lot of musicians out there, you want to challenge yourself. And the Dip Session was a live off the floor record. So all of the work was in rehearsing, so that when we went to the studio, we did 2 takes. That's it, of each song. And that was it. And we got the record done in that way. When I approached that, I had a friend come in and record it too. Video tape it basically. And Ross has GoPro cameras there. So he was recording on all the GoPros and my buddy was going around. I was hoping to get like some B footage and maybe footage for one song so that we'd have something we can put up and show people. And the vibe with the band ended up being so good that we had enough. I took a look at the footage and I realized I have enough to just do the whole thing. So I might as well just turn it in. So we turned it into a little short, I don't know, like a short film. So you can go on YouTube and you can watch us make it. There's little B-roll parts between each song, and then you can see us play the song that's on the actual record. So that was fun. And then Xeroz, live at Xeroz was also another milestone, which was making our live record, which is a whole different thing, right? It's different than studio. We basically did the same thing we did for the Dip session, but I wanted to do it in front of a live audience. So it's one take, that's it. Mm-hmm. What you do is what's on there. And that was another good milestone of just, locking in with the band, doing the best you can and having the energy of a live crowd. Yeah. And, Bold Lies was just, some new songs. I'm trying to go in you always want to figure out what kind of music direction you're going in when you have a group or you have a band. And, this trio that I have now it's an interesting ride because we started kind of in like a cleaner blues and funk space, and we've moved into something a little more gritty and a little more raw, which I like. So our live shows now have these like interesting little funk pieces between like heavier songs, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah. But yeah, the live at Xeroz is the newest thing we have. I'm working on a new song right now to put out in a couple of months, and then we'll just keep building from there and keep trying to put out some new stuff.
And is the trio, is that relatively new? The like, have you locked in like a full-time trio lineup? Is that relatively new? Yeah,
it's pretty. When I was here before going to China, I had a 5-piece band, and that was fun for sure. When I came back, I think it was more so of just like trying to simplify everything because there was so many things going on. There was lockdowns. I remember like we got together and did one rehearsal because I told the guys like I just want to play with real humans. It's been like 6 months since I played with real humans. We got together and did one rehearsal, and then things shut down for like 3 months again or 5 months or whatever it was. So I saw them one time, and then 6 months later we played again together. So I think it just was kind of built on an idea of just like simplifying things. The more people you add to a band, the more things get complicated, just as like with schedules and things like that. And also we can all fit into one vehicle with stuff and go places. The other sense with that too is the vibe in my trio is so good. The guys are great. There's no weird stuff, and everything just flows really well. So I decided to kind of just keep it as a trio. For now, we'll see. I would never want to be closed off to something in the future. But as of right now, I really like kind of the openness in the space with a trio, and the fact that we all have ample room to be creative with what we're doing. Yeah.
Cool. And sometimes there's like a magic in a trio. Like for whatever reason, sometimes trios, some people say power trios, like I think of Danko Jones, and then like you think of Nirvana, and then you think of like Jimi Hendrix, and something about a trio sometimes it just feels right. Even though there's less, there's like more at the same time,
Yeah, no, it's true for sure. And I think anything can work if you vibe with the people you're playing with. That's the most important thing, is like liking who you're with, and enjoying making music with the people that you're with, for sure. That's where the energy comes. That's where the chemistry comes.
Yeah. And that's kind of like one of those, you can't plan for, well, yeah, I don't think you can plan for that. I think it's kind of appears, like those vibes, those connections with the other musicians.
Yeah, for sure. I remember before I went to LA, there was a band, I was really into this band, and one of the guitar players in it, he had a blog, and I sent a message to him on his blog, and I wasn't expecting to get a response because it was a pretty big band. And I just asked him, like, I want to do what you do. Do you have any advice? And his answer was, you got to be able to play the music for sure. Make sure that you can play the music. And he said, but more importantly than that, he said that you got to be cool to hang. He said, you are spending all of your time with these people. Yep, you're on stage for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, playing the music. That's great. What about the other hours in the day? You're with these same people. He said, you got to be able to play the music for sure, but that is not the only thing. People in bands or people that are putting together these creations to play music, they will drop a virtuoso for a guy that can play what needs to get done, because the guy that can play, is way funner to hang out with or whatever, or he's not as much of a pain in the butt or whatever. And that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's valuable. That's a valuable lesson because it's 100% true. And I've seen that worked in a couple of recording studios here and there. And it's the same kind of thing. Like, and being in a tour van with a bunch of musicians, it's like, yeah, it's one thing to be a wicked, awesome musician. But if you're an asshole, like, no, it's not going to work. No thanks.
It's going to work. Yeah,
no.
It's not going to fly for anybody. Nobody wants to be around that. You must have really got a taste of just basically your friends in that kind of environment when you did that tour, that 5-week tour across Canada. You're around the same people for 5 weeks. That's crazy.
Yeah, we did it a few times. So like, it's kind of a dumb saying, but I used to think like, it's like we were all dating each other, but no one was getting laid. So it was just like, it's one of those moments where you're like, my God, this person is like, you're just around them so long.
Yeah. So you find all these like weird habits or little intricacies that people do, and you're like, why are you doing that? Why do you, all that kind of stuff.
I can remember the drummer just one day just losing it at the way the singer was texting. Like he'd been like suppressing the way he was like the noise his phone was making when he was texting,
Oh, the click sound.
The clicks, click. And it's just like, just for whatever, one day, he's like, I can't take it. Like, turn your phone. Anyway, just stupid little shit
That's hilarious. That's such I could see that though, dude. That click sound is yeah. Eventually, it's like the Chinese water torture, right? The drop on your forehead every time you hit the button. Click, 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 click.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's like kicking at your brain.
But it's like a relation, like you could have calmly brought it up before you freaked out, but like in some relationships where you just don't have to, I don't know, you don't feel comfortable like expressing what's bothering you. You just bury it deep inside until you freak out. But
until you blow up like a monkey.
Yeah. But if you want to be an asshole in this industry, I think you pretty much have to be like a David Bowie type of genius. That's the only way you can really. Or like if you're like a Beyonce songwriting genius, you're like, even though I know she has other people writing her music, but you have to be like an incredible talent to be an asshole and get far into it, I think.
It's true.
Not to say that's right. Not to say that's a good thing. I'm just saying.
No. Yeah. So here's another little story. So I, when I went to school, I had a teacher who, Buddy Rich, very famous jazz drummer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He also had a project where sometimes he'd like to get up and sing and do his own thing. Buddy Rich was famously not a very nice person to be around. And the guy, one of the teachers at my school, ended up being his drummer. And he told us a story one time in the same vein of like, you need to be, you want to be good to the people around you. That's the kind of chemistry you want. He told me a story of seeing, he went to visit Buddy in the hospital before he died, and he had nobody around him because he was always just being unkind to people, or like just always had something going on where he just wasn't a very nice person to be around. And that stuck with me as well, learning that story, from a guy that played with him in a band, being like, that's, you can, if you are as incredible as Buddy Rich was on the drums, then you're going to be fine in terms of your music career. But are you going to be fine in life? Definitely not.
Yeah.
That's, career is one thing and music is one thing, but, there's bigger things in life. Mm-hmm. And, if you get to your deathbed and nobody comes to see you, that says something.
Yeah. Yeah. If you accomplish it all on paper, but you're still left alone. It doesn't really, it's hard to see how that was a good trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. Life is about the connections that you have with other humans. Life is about your family and your friends. Life is about how can you help other people out? How can you support other people? And if everybody has that mindset, everybody gets supported. Like, I remember learning this as well from another teacher at school when we were playing in a band. This was a class where they take, like, the school that I went to had a guitar department, bass, drums, and vocals. And they would mash you up into a band, right? And so you'd have, 2 drummers in a band, 3 guitar players, and you'd go through these songs and play them together. And this teacher told me, he said, when the way to reach that next level in playing in a band where everybody is tight and the music is just flowing and it feels like you're in that flow state, he said the way that you're going to reach that is when you get to the point that you know your part so well that you're not listening to you anymore. If everybody is paying attention to what everyone else is doing and supporting everybody else, that's when you can really feel the difference. Because as every musician out there knows, when you're playing in a band, a lot of the time you're focusing on playing your part right. When you can get to the point where you don't think about what you're doing, but you listen and go, what is the drummer doing right now? What's the bass player doing? Oh, bass player just did something interesting. Let me see if I can work on that. Okay, yep. Oh, and then all of a sudden you hear and you maybe play something interesting that highlights something the bass player played, and then you hear the drummer play something off of what you played. And now all of a sudden you guys are vibing. Mm-hmm. Because you can tell the drummer's playing his part for sure. He's locked in, but he knows it so well. He's not paying attention to himself. He's listening to hear what I'm doing so he can play off of that, or the bass player or the vocalist or whoever. Mm-hmm. And when you hit that level of support for one another in a band, that's when you elevate.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. The act of listening, supporting each other, which inevitably makes the entire song or creation get supported just naturally. So,
oh yeah,
that's a great lesson. I think that's a great place to leave it too. A nice little positive message and really good lesson for anyone listening. Because it's true, you kind of get caught up in what you're playing, but really, it's about the bigger picture. It's about supporting, serving the song, I guess is the classic way to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to serve the song. You want to serve the other musicians that are playing with you as well, and that's the energy that will get to the crowd, and then the crowd will get that back to you. Mm-hmm. And that's that feedback loop that we all chase, right?
Yeah, where the crowd is almost morphs into becoming part of the performance, is the energy exchange.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, where's the best place for folks to check you out, Andrew, if they want to listen to your tunes or just reach out and say hello?
Yeah, so Facebook, Instagram are kind of the main 2 social medias that I'm on. I've got music on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube as well. Any of those places, you just type in my name and I'm there. Yeah, and we're going to have a new song in a few months, so you can people can be looking for that.
Wicked. What about Bandcamp? You do the Bandcamp then?
I do have a Bandcamp as well, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, the live record's on that right now, and I'm working on getting some new merch together because they have a pretty cohesive merch situation happening on Bandcamp too. So, there's an album on there, and I should have some good new merch coming in there soon. So,
wicked. Yeah, cool. I'll post a link to that too, and I'll spin a couple tunes when this airs on the radio show version of the interview. So people get a taste of it. I'll probably play a couple tunes off Bold Lies and maybe a live song or two as well.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks very much, Jay. That's